Happy Tuesday. That's not something I get to say very often. Also, what happened to my goodness? It's always just a disaster around here. We try to do some simple things and oh man, I blew everything up. Man, why does this have to happen? You know, you try to do a nice thing, you try to put on a nice stream, and before you know it, you've destroyed everything. So let's try to fix this. Good afternoon, Gold Zulu. I don't even get to say good morning. My goodness. I need to fix something. So we're just going to do that. We're going to add a new one. We're going to call this white bottom band. I know you can't see what I'm doing here, but you can see how the footer here is transparent. I need to fix that. You might be able to see a white box now. Let's do, the width is going to be 1920. Yeah. And the height can be like 50. No, maybe 100. So I destroyed something, so I need to fix it. So we're just going to bring this down here, like so. You've enlarged my eyes, you can see the reflection of what I'm typing. Oh my gosh, that's pretty awesome. So let's see if I can get this in here, like there. Did that fix it? It looks like it fixed it. And then we also need to fix this. Just move it over a little bit. Can we do that, please? Do I have it locked? I do have it locked, that's why. So just scoot this over a little bit. Okay. And now I think we're ready to go. So what I did, how about now? Now can you hear me? How about now? Yeah, that looks like it's working now. So this was the thing that I was missing earlier today. This is the scene that I created. That I did a 25-minute recording using this scene, recording, not a stream. And I forgot to add the microphone, and so now I've got to go back and re-record that whole thing because I forgot to add the audio to it. So anyway, this is a new scene that I've created just for doing like PowerPoint presentations. I don't know if I love it yet, but it works. It's serviceable. Versus this, which is full on camera, and then this one's probably broken too. Yeah, I need to fix that. So we'll fix this one also, and then we'll be ready to go. I broke everything, and now I need to unbreak everything. So this one's called white bottom band. Add source. Bring it down here. No. Please give me just that band. Need to bring it down here, like so. And we need to bring it into this folder. And then this needs to come all the way down here. And now it looks good again. So thank you for your patience with me, Gold Zulu. I decided to break a bunch of stuff today, and I think we're back in action. So now I can jump between these, and those look good. I don't have a button yet for flipping to that slide view one, but maybe we'll get there eventually. But I think we're good. Okay, so I can put this keyboard away. This is the wireless keyboard that I use to do the streaming stuff on that PC, and now we can get to my computer and look at some code. Yeah, the view count is way up today, huh? So this is where I spend a lot of my time just writing code. If you guys haven't been here before, for anybody that's just tuning in, I should probably get some chat available here for myself. So let's change this to that, and then we'll mute the video once it loads up. Because we broke everything. So it's good to see Jeff Blankenbot is here and working. That's always a good sign. Got an oxygen box hanging out in the background. Gold Zulu's here. Hawk 2000. All right, so we've got a few people hanging out. That's awesome. But what we were working on yesterday, now I can say yesterday every time, is we added to our code a new handler, which was the answer intent handler, this one here. And what we were doing in that answer intent is three things, really. This is when the user would say something like, and we can go to a browser to look at this, I guess. Do I have that open? It doesn't look like I have it open, so we'll airtable.com it. Yes, I might have been shopping for some new shoes. Whoa, we just up to 17? Wow. Okay, so if we look at our data and we look at answer, these are the things that we can answer questions about today. I have to fill some answers in yet, but these are the things that we're thinking about. Is people on our team or topics or events or whatever you can see. But there's a list, I think it's 100 or so, 101 right now. And this will continue to grow. But if people say things like, tell me about, or what is, or I need help with, or whatever, that is when it hits the answer intent. I'll show you what those utterances look like too. So tell me about, or what is, or where can I learn more about, or can you tell me, or whatever, right? These are all things that people might say. They might also say some of this stuff, like, just give me something random, something I don't know already. And in that case, then we want to give them something random. So you'll notice that none of these have slot values. So we're using that as our trigger to say, like, oh, they just said they wanted something, but we don't know what it is. Or if they were to say how to use, but they don't say anything, then we'll still end up in our slot, in our intent. But we don't know what they wanted. And so if they don't give us a slot value, then we go ahead and grab them one randomly. So I've done some cool stuff with that, and I kind of want to show you what I did. So the first thing is I have spoken words and resolved words. These are things that you've seen me do before. But this is what gets the actual spoken value that the user said. So if they said, tell me about, what's a good example? In-skill purchasing. Then in-skill purchasing would be what I get as their spoken words. I don't get the rest of it, but I get the in-skill purchasing part. And then I also have resolved words, and this is where the AI matches the thing the user said against the list of slot values that I currently have to say, oh, this resolves to, it matches one of the things in your slot or multiple things. So here's the list of those things, and it gives those back to me as a list of resolved words. So what I do here is I say, if the list of resolved words, the ones that matched, if the list is exactly one, then we're going to go out and we're going to call my database. That's what this line here does. I'm going to look at my answer table for the value that resolved. I'm just going to go get all the data that value has. And if we look at our database, you can see that there's a bunch of data in here, or there will be. But I have things like pronunciation, voice response, card response, screen response, chat response, links, like this is a call to action basically. If there's any media that goes with it, which I don't currently have. And then I also have this user column, which we'll talk about in just a minute. I also added a last modified column, which is a cool thing I didn't even know Airtable did. But this column is updated every single time anything in the record is changed in any way. I think that's super, super awesome that that's just done dynamically for me, and I don't have to worry about it. But I added a column just so I can see that stuff there. So when we talk about getting my record, this is a new function that I built called get item by record ID. And if we come look at that, get item by record ID, I've built a very generic interface using the fetch protocol, where I'm just building a URL out, and I specify what the base is, what the database is, what table inside the database. I provide my API key, and then I'm looking for a specific thing with a specific record ID. So this always ends up being the same because I'm always just looking for some record ID. And it's up to me to determine what database and what table I want to look in, and then I'll find the record ID for that thing, and it returns me that whole entity. 70 people? Is there really 70 people here? That's amazing if that's the case. I don't know if I see 70 people, but that's super cool if it says there are. And welcome to everybody that's here. If we have 70 people, that just seems like I only see 17, but maybe I'm wrong. Oh, I see. No, I don't think I got rated. At least I haven't gotten any indication that I've gotten rated. Maybe it's from your channel, Gold Zulu. That would be awesome, man. Are you rolling? Are you rolling deep with viewers? Because this is super cool that people are showing up. Anyway, so we got this get item by record ID. This will be used over and over and over in everything that we do because we're constantly calling out to Airtable to get records for a number of things. And this allows me with a record ID to just easily grab whatever record I need. So this is nice that I have this built now. And then the other thing that I built was get random unused answer, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second. So we talked about what happens if they only resolve out to one value. And then I say, hey, you asked me about, and I give them my official name for that thing. So for example, if you were to say, tell me about Blankenburg, which is my last name, it would say, oh, you asked me about Jeff Blankenburg, right? It's going to use the official name that I have for that thing. I think it might have been a joke. But if I have rehosted viewers, that's awesome. And I'm glad everybody's tuning in. And then the other thing that I add in is voice response. So if we look at my data model again, which is somewhere over wherever I opened Airtable here, you can see that I have a voice response. That is this description that sits right here, which is just a simple description about whatever that item happens to be. It's the thing that I want to say about the thing they asked me about. So I say, you asked me about the thing, and then I say whatever the thing is and give them more information. Then this is the really cool piece of functionality that lives here. And this is a new function I built called Update User Answers. So let's talk about what this thing does. Because it's a little complicated, maybe not that complicated. But basically what I do is I am always pulling every time that a user comes into my skill. So every time that they interact, I go out to the database and I grab their user record. So if we look at the record for a user, which is here, I'm the only user right now. And what this shows me is all of the topics that this user has looked at. So I've looked at Jeff Blankenburg, Jeff Nunn, and Jeff Bezos, but I haven't asked it about, let's find another one, a Kirsch. We'll ask it about a Kirsch. So when I ask it about a Kirsch, what will happen is it's going to record using this line of code, which was in answer intent. I'm going to call this update user answers. It's going to call this function, and it's going to say, have they already answered that? Well, as part of my user record, I already know all the things they've already heard before. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't hear it again, but it lets me know later in our code what they're actually going to want to hear when they ask for something random or new or something like that. I can mark off the ones they've already seen. So this is what update user answer does, is it just calls out to the database and inserts a record if the answer isn't already part of their user record. So I can look in user answers and see the collection of those, and then I'm just looking to say, does user answers, that array, does it include the record ID that I'm looking at right now? If it doesn't, then we're going to insert a record. So let me show you how this works. If I come back to my dev portal here, we'll have to go into the testing for that specific skill, just so that I'm there and looking at that. So we'll come into Alexa Dev Tips that I have right here. We'll choose test, just to use this as our testing console. And then I'm going to say, I know the name of this skill is weird, but we're going to say Chewbacca Cup. That's just what I named it for testing, because I have another skill called Dev Tips and I'm getting conflicts. So, but this is going to
what would you like to do next?
This is going to replace that one. So if I say, tell me about a Kirsch.
You asked me about Akar Shrivastava. A Kirsch is an Alexa Solutions architect based in Seattle. What would you like to do next?
Okay, so I've asked it about a Kirsch, but what's cool about this is now when I look in my database and I look at my user table, a Kirsch has been added as a record for this specific user, so I know they've heard that before. I don't care if you hear it again or over and over or whatever. That's fine if you want to keep revisiting the same content. But as we get further into this, as we get further into what our answer intent really does, that's just step one, which is you said something and it matched one of the records. It didn't match all the records, it just matched one. What happens if we match multiple records? That's actually why I had Jeff Bezos, Jeff Blankenburg, and Jeff Nunn, because I was testing that earlier. But you can see in this case, if resolved words, if that array is greater than one, which means I have more than one value, then I'm going to say I found some amount, right, 3, 5, 7, whatever. I found a number of matches for what you said, And this is where I'll say the words that you actually spoke versus the words that I have in my database. And then I'll say, did you mean, and I have another function that I've created in my helper that's called get disambiguation string. And it's actually pretty simple. I'll show you what it looks like, but it's meant to write speech that makes sense for this. I think it's down here near the bottom. Nope. Let's just find it. There we go. So I lost it. Go to the other one. Okay, so all I'm doing is passing in an array of values. I'm iterating through that set of values, and I'm separating them with a comma. And with the last one, I'm adding an or. That's it. But that means if I have 3 values, I will say, do you mean Jeff Nunn, Jeff Bezos, or Jeff Blankenburg, right? That or really finishes out that sentence. It makes it feel right. I don't like saying, do you mean Jeff Nunn, Jeff Blankenburg, Jeff Bezos? Like the or gives the real identifiable conversational speech to what Alexa's doing. So that is what get disambiguation string means, is I'm just passing in an array of items, and it's going to return to me a comma-separated list with the last 2 being separated by the word or also. Okay, so we're almost there. So this is what it says here. So it'll say, did you mean Jeff Blankenburg, Jeff Bezos, or Jeff Nunn? So let's look at how that works if we come back to our testing. And if I say, tell me about Jeff, this will bring back all 3 of the results. I'll show you that here in the input.
I found 3 matches for Jeff. Did you mean Jeff Nunn, Jeff Blankenburg, or Jeff Bezos?
So you can see that here, my success match, I have Jeff Nunn, Jeff Blankenburg, and Jeff Bezos. And in that order, it picked those 3 and asked the user what they want. Now, what this does psychologically, is tells the user, I need you to use the whole name. And so they're going to be like, oh, well, I want to know about Jeff Bezos. And if they say Jeff Bezos, that then becomes a new instance of matching only one thing, which then we can give them the answer for. So if I say Jeff Bezos, I don't know if I have an answer for him.
You asked me about Jeff Bezos. Undefined, what would you like to do next?
Got it. So it says undefined because I don't have any data in my database, but that's how it would work, is I'm asking the user to clarify, what did you mean when you said Jeff? And so I said, I found 3 matches for Jeff. Did you mean Jeff Nunn, Jeff Blankenburg, or Jeff Bezos? So I'm just using that entity resolution to identify the possible list of matches and then parroting those back to the user. Unspecified software is here. Clark Sell, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it might be for you. But this is how we're building that disambiguation. So the last cool piece of this function that we're using, once we've identified when we have multiple matches, the last possible case is they didn't match anything. So they said something like, tell me about pizza, right? And pizza is not one of my slot values. It's not something that my skill knows anything about. Or they might have said, give me a random tip, give me some random information, whatever it might be. And in this case, what I'm going to do is call this other function called getRandomUnused_answer. And this is where a lot of the structure that we were talking about earlier comes into play. So when we look at our data, you can see in my user table, these are the 4 things that this user has ever seen before. This is something that I can keep track of. Every time they hear an answer in this skill, I record it as part of their record. And then when I call into this answer table to get them something random to find out about, what I'm doing is excluding any of the things they've ever seen before. So they're always going to hear something new. And I don't actually know what I'm going to do if they've seen all the things. That's a case I probably should think about. So let's add that as something that can go right here, which is, what do we do if they have heard all the things? Because that's a case that I could potentially run into. It's unlikely, but I'm sure there's a few people that will go in and just say another, and they'll have heard all of them eventually. At which time this would fail because I wouldn't have anything else to bring back to them. So I really need to think about how I'm going to handle that. Maybe if I get 0 records back, then I could delete their I don't know exactly how I want to handle that. But that's something I can solve for another day. But anyway, Galactoids, it's awesome that you're here. I'm glad that you can join in and you're not sleeping as I'm doing this. We're building a new version of the dev tips skill. I know you're probably familiar with the one that we built like 3 years ago, but I'm trying to rebuild it in a way that makes more sense, is more modular, and does a whole lot more. One of the big things that I really want to build into this is the ability for developers. Obviously, asking questions is really nice, like tell me about this, but at the end of the day, all I'm going to do is give you a pre-recorded paragraph and maybe a link to follow. So I don't know that that's significantly better than what you would find with a Google search, except that it's curated. So we're in the process of rebuilding that, but the thing that I think is going to be huge is between 3 years ago and now, there's been a ton of other features that have been released and available, and people often have questions about how does that work, or how do I use that, or what is it like? How do I get a notification? What is a proactive alert like, or what are all these things? And so with all of this, with all of these pieces, the idea is you'll be able to come in and say, show me a full-size image in APL, and it should be able to do that for you. Oxygen Box, unspecified software. Did you know Dave Boss from MS? Yeah, Clark worked very closely with Dave, but I also worked with both of them. Dave was a very good friend of mine, and passed very early with an unfortunate brain issue. But Dave was a fantastic guy, and he's greatly missed. He still pops up on my Facebook once in a while for memories that we had and stuff like that. But Clark and I worked very, very closely with Dave at Microsoft. Anyway, so that is what this third case does, is goes out and grabs a random topic for you that you've never heard before, which should be a good way to kind of explore the skill and be like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing, right? And we can continue to populate that database and grow it and whatever. So that's these are the three cases basically for our answer intent. You matched one thing, I'm going to give you that thing. I used to run a conference with him and Larry Clark, and man, I haven't talked to Larry in a long time either. What was the conference? Homework anxiety is now following. Thank you for the follow. A little headbanging there for you. Thank you for joining the club here. For those of you that are tuning in and you might be on another channel, jump over to this channel. Come on in, give me a follow. You can get your name up on the screen. We do a bunch of crazy stuff here with chatbots and voice and Alexa, and I'm glad that you guys are all here and tuned in and joining us. So, okay, so this is my answer intent, and it's, for the most part, it's done. I think we've identified one little thing that I'm going to need to, but that's a pretty far edge case that I'm not too worried about hitting. So the answer intent feels pretty good. One of the other things that I thought we could do, though, is start thinking about some of those feature-based things that we want to be able to do. So if we go back to our model, let's look at our model for a moment. We have an answer intent. I think that we have change voice. This is another cool feature where developers may want to know what does a certain voice sound like. And so you can change the voice of the skill just by asking for any of the poly voices. And you can always ask for Alexa's voice to come back, so you can flip between those. So that's what the change voice intent does. I have a display template intent. These things still exist, and so I think I'll probably keep that functionality there. But I also added a Apl Template Intent. And this is where you're going to be able to ask to see specific things. So like, hey, I really want to just see the mix. I was just noticing what Unspecified Software was writing about the days of mix. That was a cool conference that Microsoft used to put on for a while. Let me take a pause on this APL because I want to talk about that for a second. So many of you may know I run a conference called StirTrack. Actually, I have the jacket I'm wearing today has the logo. This is the event that I run. It's called StirTrack, and it's a technology conference held here in Columbus, Ohio. We unfortunately didn't have it this year because of COVID, but it's one of those things that has been happening annually. This would have been our 11th year. Anyway, the place that name came from was actually the Mix conference from Microsoft. We were there at the event, and I talked with a bunch of my folks that I worked with at Microsoft about doing like a remix event, do some other regional mix events around the country for people that couldn't get to Vegas with the budget and cost that involves. And they loved the idea. They said, yeah, that's awesome. You should totally do that. But you can't use the name Mix. You can't use any of our branding or logos. And we're not going to help you in any way. And I was like, well, that's not exactly what I was going for. And so the team that I was working with, it was just a bunch of community developers. We decided instead to call the event Stir Trek because we held it in a movie theater on the day that first new J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie came out. We showed that movie as part of the conference. But in addition, we used the word stir specifically as like a thumb of the nose to the Mix conference because they wouldn't let us use any of their branding or naming. So that's where it kind of came from. It's evolved into its own thing now, but that's where the original name for Star Trek came from, was Mix. And the Thirsty Developer podcast, I remember that too. Man, that was a long time ago. Anyway. Let's see. Galacto says, this feature you're working on, recommending new ways to interact with the skill, actually ties really closely to the conversation a bunch of us champs had on Twitter the other day. Had a blog post written but not yet published that cites one of your tweets. Oh, man. I don't know if citing my tweets is ever a good idea, but I'd love to know more about what you're talking about, Galactoids. That would be super cool. Yeah, I think I still have some Thirsty Developer stickers laying around here somewhere. That's amazing. Such a small world. Okay, so this Apl Template Intent, the idea here is that I want to build out a thing that will just, like, if I say show me an Apl video, or I say show me a full screen image, or show me, like, if we, I can probably do this best if I come over to the console and I go to build. What I thought I would do is, rather than having you come in here and, like, you can go to this display tab, and this takes you to a tool where you can choose a bunch of predefined templates. I think that's what we'll see here. Create template. Yeah, these are the ones that I was thinking of. So these specific sets of APL, I thought if you just wanted to easily see what one of these looks like, it would be nice to be able to just ask your device and boom, it's on your screen without having to like open the dev portal or anything like that. It would just be an easy way to remind you. So I think that's something that would be pretty easy to do, I don't know that we can get that done today, but I think that's where I want to head. Is I want to just build some simple APL templates that you can ask for, and it'll just display them on your screen for you. So that's what we're going to go for today. So I have this APL Template Intent. I'm going to need a slot that is the different names of those different templates. So we'll have to figure out what that's going to be. So I'll take let me grab slots like this, and we'll copy that. We'll bring it down here to the template intent. Oxygen box is Michael Schaffner, everybody, in case you were wondering. So we'll call this APL template, and this is going to be APL template. Okay, and then instead of APL video, we're going to have show me an APL. I think I'm going to have to say something with APL every time, because we're going to run into a lot of utterance conflicts if I break all these into their own intents. So what did I do for the display template? Show me display template. These could probably be combined. And then I could say APL video, I could say APL whatever, make those all my slot values. But that's probably not going to work very well either, because then I'll have a bunch of conflicts with APL being resolved all the time. So we'll just leave this like this for now. I'm not going to worry about the slot itself, and I'll just create the slot, which we have way too many of right now. I need to get rid of some of this stuff. There's my body template slot. So let's take this, just funnel down here a little bit, make sure I'm not missing anything. Like so. And just with some careful surgery, we'll drop this right here. And then we can get rid of most of these slots, so we can get rid of all but one. Like so. Okay, and then this is going to be called APL template. Make sure I got that naming right. Did I call the slot or the type? I did it the wrong way. So we want to do this the other way. So we'll, for most of these, I make the name all lowercase. Apl template, and this is going to be APLT. Okay, so that's good. And then my slot value is down here. And the first one we're going to do is APL. I don't know what my ID is going to be, but my name is going to be, what were those names we had on here? Image display sample. So we'll do image display sample. Do they all have the word sample? I probably don't need that. Image display. So I can do image display too. And we'll just drop it like that. That's a good start. We'll expand this slot later, but this is a good start for this. So I have a model that includes a slot called APL Template, and I have a new intent called Apl Template Intent that uses that slot, and I say show me an APL video, which is not really what I want. I want to change this to show me an APL template. Gold Zulu, let's start playing some sound effects or something, man. If you got that many points, I'm gonna have to find some other ways for you guys to cash those points in, because you're just accumulating them by the thousands. Show me an APL image template. That was what it was called, right? Image display. Show me an APL image display. Show me the. How do we do it? Show me the APL image display sample. That's good. This I'm getting too deep into this. I also need to change my audio so that you guys are hearing it. There you go. So now if you play sound effects. For those of you guys that don't know, there's a bunch of new viewers that we have here. We have 61 of you. But if you're in the chat on my channel and not on like the Alexa channel or something like that, you can say !lamp and then a color like blue, and it will change the color of the lamp right here behind me. Apparently I have 2 instances of my bot running. That's my apologies for that. Why is that happening? I don't think that I have 2 instances of my bot running. I totally do. Let's kill one of those. Don't know why I ran 2 of them. Okay, so I have the bot running now, and you can also do things like what W. Giorgio did. He just played the sound effect from a chimp monkey. I'm guessing you guys can all hear that. I can't hear it. I just see it happening in the chat. I don't have headphones on right now, so I won't hear it if it's happening. But I think you guys should have been able to hear a monkey sound. But the list, you can say !sound list. There's also, if you want to know what's going on with people, like if we say age, and then we say it's a little quiet, I can fix that. So we can take this and just turn the volume up a little bit. Okay. Line 446 in sound list. What is files.txt? Oh, that's probably just a mistake. More than anything else. I think that was just a file that I created that had a list of all the files in it. So that's just shouldn't be there. I can fix that later. But you can do things like !age, at which point you could say, we were talking with Oxygen Box, so if we say Oxygen Box, it'll tell me how old his account is. So he's been on Twitch for 2 years and 6 months. Where if you say age unspecified software, he's been on for 1 month and 21 hours, right? So it gives us a good feel for how long someone's been on Twitch. If you just say age, it'll tell you what mine is. And if you say followers, you can see how many followers I have, or you can put somebody's handle after that and be able to see like how many followers Unspecified Software someone has. So if you guys aren't following me, we are currently trying to get to 500 followers, at which point I'm going to do an entire episode like this dressed as an X-Wing pilot. We did one previously for 250 where I was dressed as Bob Ross. But If any of you aren't following right now, go ahead and hit that follow button for me, because it'll make it so that you know when we're going on stream and what we're building and what's happening. So if you don't mind, I would appreciate it. And if you do mind, that's totally fine. I won't take it personal whatsoever. I think I'm doing some cool stuff here once in a while. But if that's not your jam, it's not your jam. But we have a cool crew of people here that are incredibly supportive, and it's amazing to me how much you guys just help each other and support each other here in the chat while I'm doing stuff. So it's a great place to be, and I'm really glad that I get to be a part of all this. Okay, so we have our Apl Template Intent built. So the next thing that we need to do is build a new handler for this. So I'm going to take this, and I already forgot what my intent was called. I think it was just Apl Intent, but let's make sure. It was called Apl Template Intent. So I'm going to take that, and we're going to call this part right here Apl Template Intent. We're going to call a new function that is called Apl Template Intent, and this is going to be the Apl Template Intent handler. So I'm basically just building a structure that says, hey, when they indicate that they want the Apl template, this is the place that they will land, and then we'll go do some things to give them what they're looking for. So let's just add this right in here. Unspecified, you should totally unfollow me, man. I get it. I totally get it. Okay, so we have this page constructed. The next thing that we need to do is look at our handlers folder, which is here, and we need to create a new file. And this one's going to be called Apl Template Intent.js, and we're going to need a function in here that is Apl Template Intent, and we're always passing in our handler input. This is all the data that we received from Alexa. So this is the JSON that we received that lets us know what's going on, and then we need to export this. So we need module. If I could type module dot exports equals, and then we do that again, like so, and then we will eventually add some code in here. But in the meantime, we also need to add this to the index file for this collection of things. And so we'll take this one as a good example. And this was APL, so this is going to be the second one on my list. I'm trying to keep these alphabetical. And this is going to be Apl Template Intent. We'll just take that, copy it into a few places. All right, so Apl Template Intent is now there and installed. I have all of this ready to go. And just to check, if I come over here and I say, where did I lose my intent? Handler. If I run over handlers, I can now see that Apl Template Intent is part of this, and it takes a handler input as a parameter. So all of that looks good, and you can see that I'm not returning any promises yet because I haven't written any code there. So we'll get there. So with that being said, the next thing that we want to do is produce some of that APL. So if I come into the Apl Template Intent, the first thing that I'm going to need to do before anything else is I'm going to need to do what I did in answer intent, and that is I need the user's locale, their spoken words, and their resolved words, so that I know what it is that. Yeah, I'll show the template. We're gonna grab the source for that and pop it in. So I'm going to take this Apl Template Intent. The first three things I want to do are get the user's locale. I'm going to need that for any of the speech that I generate. I need spoken words, but I need it for the slot that I'm talking about, which is Apl Template. And then I need the resolved words, Apl Template, because these are going to be the values that I know what the user indicated they want to do. Without this value, I don't have any idea what they're trying to accomplish. Okay, so we have Apl Template Intent. We now know what they said and any slot values that may have resolved because of what they said. And the first thing that we want to do is we could do pretty much exactly the same thing we did with the answer intent, where we have three conditions. They had a perfect match. They matched multiple things, so which one would they want? If we look at our display here, we have, if I say, give me a text sample, right, it could be either of these. This is the image display, but this is the image right, this is the image left, this is the image forward, this is the text forward. So I feel like if you say text, I might return all three of these, and it would be nice for me to be able to clarify for you, well, which one did you mean? And then if you say one of those, then obviously we'll get right to it. And if you say image, I would get these three, and then I would, or these four, and I would clarify, like, well, which one did you mean? So I think that's probably the thing that I should do next, is to populate my slot with those values, and then I'm going to have to do disambiguation the same way that I did with my answers. So let's take a look at how we did that. The first thing that I did is I'm going to need I'm not even going to worry about action query for right now, but I need to take this structure, and maybe we can clean it up a little bit. Now let's just take the whole thing, because most of this is all going to be there. So we can copy a lot of this and then modify as necessary. So in here, I can just do that. And all of this looks good so far. The stuff that isn't going to be here is for answer. I'm not actually going to make a call out to the database because this stuff isn't going to live in a database. So we're not going to make a call out. But what we are going to do is generate some APL. So this is where I'm going to say something. I don't know what that thing is going to be, but it's going to be something like, I am showing you. I am now. Now let's just say and then whatever the name of the template was. That's going to be the resolved words. So I should be able to say the resolved words 0 dot value dot name template is displayed on your screen. We have one other condition here that we did not have with answer, and that is something that we'll have to wrap this whole thing in, which is a if supports. I don't know if I have this in my helper yet, but helper dot supports AP. What did I call that? I had this open in another file, and I don't remember. I don't remember how exactly I did this. Let me see if I can find a recent file that I've opened. Supports APL. This is what I did. So let's go look at this function and see what it does. And it's just this same kind of interface. So I've done a few functions like this. We found better ways to write this. So let's just take this as is, and let's come over to our helper file, which is this guy, and we'll just I have supports APL right here. I guess I could have just used that. Okay, so let's never mind with the stuff that I just copied. I didn't realize that I already had it in this file, but thank you, Gold Zulu, for pointing that out. So what I want to do here is change this up a little bit. We have already a Lodash in here, so we're just going to use the Lodash kind of format that we used here. So I'm just going to do this line for supports APL, and we're going to do something like this. And we're going to do handler input, but this time we're going to take this whole thing and copy, and we'll put this in the string here. And save that. And I think that's good. I think that'll work. So I can lose all of this. No, that's not really what I need, though. I need to know if it exists, then it's true. How do I want to handle this? I think I just need to say if it exists. So if get return true. And then I can just do return false. If it doesn't, I think that's what I need. And then we can take this and throw it away. We did. The question marks did not work, man. I went through a bunch of different stuff. Clark is calling me out. I have this syntax right here, and I wrote it the way that you and I described, and I cannot get around this array. It works fine if I don't have arrays, but I've tried doing this with separating the array value as its own dot. I've tried removing the dot. I've tried moving the question marks around. I am not successful in doing this piece here. This is the one thing that's causing me a headache, and the Lodash stuff is working. So that's where we ended up. Thank you, W. Giorgio, for the reminder to drink some water. So that's why I'm using the Lodash stuff. Don't tell me that I didn't learn anything on Friday. We went through a ton of stuff, but we never actually got this working, and we made a lot of guesses about how to access that array. And everything I've tried doesn't work. I still have it here. I still have aspirations to make that work, but Lodash is fine. It gets the job done. And for what I'm doing here with supports APL, it will solve my problem. So I'm just using this as a Boolean, and if that thing exists, great. I'm going to return true, and if it doesn't, then I return false. So that's my supports APL function, and if we come, well, let's save it so that that's actually there. Let's go back to our Apl template intent, and this is where we need to say if it supports APL, and I need to pass in handler input, then we can do anything else. Our else condition off of this is going to be something very basic and boring. So I can say speak output equals I'm sorry. Whoop. I'm sorry. Your device does not support APL. And that should be all I need to do. We'll just leave it like that with a semicolon, and that's my speak output for when your device does not support APL. So if you have a device like an Echo Dot or something like that that doesn't have a screen, or somehow you have a third-party device or something like that that does have a screen but maybe doesn't support APL, which is certainly possible, then you would get this error. I'm sorry, your device does not support APL. And then I'm going to tack on, when we get down here to the bottom, a action query, which will be something like, what would you like to do next? So that is the structure that we have for our fail case. Now we need to look at what happens if they do have a device that works. That's where all of these things are going to come into play. And it'll be far less complicated, I think, than answer. I think it'll be pretty straightforward. So my first case is if resolved words dot length is 1. So this means we matched only one thing. And this is where I say the thing that you matched template is displayed on your screen. But then I need to actually do that. I don't need to do this line. This can go away. And then let's fix this one first, and then we'll move on. So what I need to do to add APL is to do what I do down here at the bottom, handler input dot response builder. So I can say handler input dot response builder dot and I have to remember how I do this in another file. Didn't we have yeah, so if I look at how I add APL in the past, I bring in a JSON file, and then I do this rb.addDirective. So this is what I really want, is this chunk right here. And what I'm going to do with this, if we go to the right file, is we're going to tack this right on right here. So .addDirective, the type is APL render document. The token, that's fine, I can leave that as is. I'm not going to be using that. But I care about the document and the data sources for a file. So let's go get a file and bring that in, because we're going to need to be able to grab those files. So on this line here, we can say something like, I guess we can do const APL, because it'll always be APL, equals require, and then I'm going to have to dynamically choose which one it is that I want. So I'm probably going to have a new folder somewhere in here that is, let's close some of this stuff down. Inside here, I'm going to have, inside my Lambda folder, I'm going to have a folder called APL templates. And then in there, we're going to go get this image display sample stuff and pull it out into files. So if we look at the APL for this, you can see that this actually has the resources and the styles and the main template that lives here, but I believe the data sources live here. This is the data source. So I'm actually going to have two files that I separate out. I think there's a way where I can see the whole thing. Maybe not. I thought that there was a way where I could see all of the. I know what it is. If I download it. So if I download this code, it's going to let me do that. And we open up the template that they downloaded for me. You can see that this has the document, and down here further, there's the data sources. So it's weird that in the interface, they have the APL tab and they have the data tab, but when you download it, they actually give you one file that has all of them a node deeper with the data. With the data sources and the document. So I think we can just save this one file because this is really how I wanted to do it. So I'm going to take this file and I'm going to save it into that directory that we created, the new APL templates directory. So let's go there. Goldzula, I'm glad it bothers you because it definitely bothers me. Alexa Dev Tips, Lambda, with this new APL templates folder. And this one, I want to make sure I'm very specific about my naming. The name of this thing was, if we go back up, yes, that's fine. Create a template. This was called image display sample. So that's going to be the name that we use to retrieve this. So I'm going to call it image. How do I want to do this? I guess I can do it any way I want because I'll make it the IDs for the slots. So we'll do it with underscores. Display sample. Like so. Save my JSON. And now I have that in there. So one of the things that I'll need to do religiously is in my slot, which was right here, I have image display sample. I don't have an ID, so these IDs are going to be image display sample. And the reason that I like to do this is because this is a way for me to basically store some unique identifier that I use in my data in my slot values. When it resolves, I receive this as a value, and then I can easily go look something up. I don't have to do any kind of disambiguation or any fuzzy matching to try and figure out what the user was trying to do. I know exactly the ID that I need to go take action. And so for this one, it's the image display sample. So we can save that and come back to where we were in the APL template. So now I know what the resolved word was because I'm saying it right here. But what I want to do is take this and do something like resolved words 0 dot value dot ID dot JSON. That should allow me to dynamically pick up the JSON file that's sitting in that directory for the name that was indicated to me. And because these are only ever resolved names, so this is only ever going to happen if they matched one of the things that I was expecting, I know that they're not going to end up with some weird value in here. They have to support APL on their device, and then they have to have resolved one of the terms that I'm expecting. If they don't do that, we're never going to land here. We're going to land in the I don't know what to show you case, which is a little bit further down. It'd be cool if we could have a list showing all of the example APL. So yeah, that's potentially a menu option I could give you if you don't indicate one of them, or just show me some APL and I'm like, I don't know which one you want, and then I could show you in APL a couple of choices and you could tap on them or say the names. That's a good idea. Let me drop that in here for this. To do this one will be show a list of APL templates when one isn't indicated. Okay, so that's at least there. I'll remember to come back to that later. We have our add directive, so we're adding our render document with apl.document and apl.datasources because that's what we're pulling out here. So it'll pull it into those two sections, which is great. So I feel like we should be able to display some JSON right now. if we say the appropriate thing. This isn't going to catch multiple things. We haven't written any of that code yet, and it's certainly not going to catch when you don't say something. We haven't written any of that yet either. But we could give this a try. This might be a good time. I guess I'll just type it, #deploy, and we'll package all this stuff up. Am I not? Oh, I'm in the wrong directory. CD Alexa dev tips, and we'll now do it #deploy, and now maybe it'll work. Okay, now I changed the model, so this is going to take a little longer than it normally does, but I think, barring any errors, which if you guys have ever watched me before, you know that I don't ever have errors. Barring any errors, this should just work, and it should render some APL for me on the screen. So we have to upload that new model that includes the new slot and the new intent. We have to upload the Lambda code that has not only our function Apl Template Intent, but also the new helper functions that we've created, also the reference to it in the handler in the index.js file. So we've made a bunch of changes to this, and it's going to take just a minute to get that up there. I see that you're asking me to change this to 1.3. Boom. We can do that, but it would be interesting as people are using this skill to be able to say, hey, I want to see a 1.0 version or a 1.3 version if they want to see how things will render in a certain way. I don't know how we effectively do that. It would be super cool if people could provide the skill a link to their own JSON document, so it could just grab it and try to render it for you. That would be awesome. But that's harder work, and not something we need to do right now. What we do need to do is the do. Diet Mountain Dew has made a circulation back into my house, and so there we are. Okay, we're almost there. It's just got to zip everything up and send it along, and then we can give this a test. Clark, I have no shortage of dad jokes. Speaking of which, how's that amazing waterfall coming together? Clark is building a waterfall near or around his house on his property, and I gotta imagine every muscle in his body is sore. Super cool, man. I've been following it on Facebook and Instagram and stuff. That's a lot of work. He lives in the rolling plains of northern Illinois, but he's built a waterfall around his head. Oh, there we go. We got a picture. Let's go look. Oh, a video even. Yeah, look at that. He had to move all those rocks in, lay all the pathing. But man, does that look cool. Awesome. Anyway, that's what Clark does in his free time. I sit around and stare at my phone. Okay, so we are not deployed yet. This is taking some time. This is actually something that I want to discuss with Clark one of the other times that we get together, is that I have all of these developer dependencies, but I don't think that the #deploy command cares at all that they're only developer dependencies. I think it's packaging all of that stuff up for me too, which is why this just took so long to just build and deploy. Okay, moment of truth. Let's go see what I broke. So we're going to come into wherever we were. One of these is the right place. Go to our test tab and give this guy a run. Open Chewbacca Cup, because that's the dumb name I gave it for right now. Please don't break. Please don't break. It's a slow response.
There was a problem with the requested skills
I was so
response.
optimistic that maybe that was going to work, but I guess the fact that it took so long is a good, clear indication that it was not. Okay, let's go back. Take a look at what the issue might have been. Go look at some CloudWatch logs. Love me some CloudWatch. No, please don't break is just me really, really hoping that it doesn't break. 3:04, is that what time it is? My goodness, this day is flying by. Okay, uncaught exception. Oh, it's always that. Await is only valid in an async function. And guess what I did? Oop. Await, I'm sorry, async. And actually, I just realized that this was never going to work because I never brought these in. This was destined to fail, everybody. There was a 0% chance that was going to happen. I think we're good now, though. I'm optimistic that we're good now. Now we just got to go through the whole build process again. It won't take nearly as long because we're not changing the model again, but the build process still takes too long. I'm almost certain that it's packaging up all of my developer dependencies too, because there's a point at which I see it says like 771 packages it's packaging up and sending. I've got to find a way to knock that down because this just takes too long. I'm at like a minute and a half just to deploy some code to Lambda, which is way, way too long. I'm not familiar with the launch debugger, Gold Zulu. Are you talking about like the local debugger? I tried getting that installed, but I'm having some issues with ngrok. I don't know if that's what you're specifically referring to, but I have local debugger here. You can see I even got the file. I went through the process, but for whatever reason, my machine or something about ngrok is not cooperating, and every time I try to run it, it actually deletes the executable. So that's what I need to figure out. But again, not for now. I don't like to do all the newness on stream. I'll solve that in the background. But so now we're almost deployed. Joe has the same issue. That's good to know. So it's not just me. Sometimes, I work remotely all the time. So there's a lot of times where I'll work on some stuff, and before I know it, I'm like, God, I'm an idiot. Everybody else must have a better way to do this. And I would love to save the 10 million years because right now it's too many round trips. It's like every time I make a mistake, I've got to wait a minute and a half, and it's too long. So Servio, you say? I'm gonna go drop because I don't have enough tabs open. We'll take a look at what that is. Servio.net. Yeah, that's going to be a winner. I'll give that a try. But I'm assuming it still works with local debugger. Like I can still just fire in those endpoints and it'll just go. That'd be great. I would love that. So thank you for pointing me in that direction. Come on, code. What are we pushing, like 10 gigs? Yeah, the breakpoints is the thing that I so desperately want. Prior to my life at Amazon, I did a lot of development in C# for desktop apps, and being able to test that and set breakpoints, I miss that so desperately. But that's running code in the cloud. That's just something I've come to accept. So, all right, so we're good. I think it'll work this time, right? Totally work. Let's try. Open Chewbacca Cup. What do we get? Don't break. Give me some answers.
This is Alexa
Sweet.
Dev Tips.
Okay, so far so
What
good.
would you like to
So
do
now
next?
let's make sure we get this this response proper, so that I don't blow it. I want to say, show me the APL image display sample. Show me the APL image display sample. Come on. Come on.
I'm sorry.
Your device
Your
does not
device
support
does
APL.
Not support APL.
I mean, I guess that's
What would you
okay,
like to
but
do
this,
next?
I'm pretty sure this does. So if supported interfaces is empty. Look at that. All right, so let's try it on a device. Alexa, open Chewbacca Cup.
Welcome. What would you like to do next?
Show me the APL image display sample.
I'm sorry. Your device does not support APL.
Right, you guys got me.
What would you like
You're
to
on.
do next?
You're on top of it. I have to enable APL stuff.
You just triggered Get News Intent. What
Alexa,
would you like to do next?
shut up.
Goodbye.
So the thing that I forgot is down here in interfaces, and that's what Gold Zulu and Trey Last are bumping me about, is I forgot to turn APL on. Boom. Have to do that. And yeah, support all the devices, of course. So let's go ahead and save our interfaces. I don't know if you have to build again. Yeah, Utah, give me 2. Welcome. Hey, by the way, Utah, Unspecified Software is on here also, and that is your old friend Clark Sell, if you guys haven't talked in a while. But so Stupak is asking, does it support COBOL? You could technically write the back end of your Alexa skill in any language you want. No problems there at all. But you'd have a lot of work to do because you're obviously not going to have things like SDKs and other things to help you out with. But yeah, you could totally write the back end in COBOL. Is APL a programming language? No, it's not really a programming language. It's really just a standard. It's all written in JSON. This is great. It's like an old reunion. So Utah Give Me 2 is a guy named Ryan. That's an old buddy of mine. And Unspecified Software is Clark. We all work together at Microsoft together. So this is like a family reunion. Okay, I've turned my stuff on. Is that enough? Do you guys know, or do I have to rebuild? I'm gonna not rebuild and see if I get any issues, but let's give it a try. So we'll fire it up. That should work.
Hello. What would you like to do next?
That works great. And then I want to say the other thing, which was show me the a.p.l image. I already forgot what it's called. Display sample. Display sample.
I'm sorry. Your device does
Did it
not
still not come
support
through?
APL.
I guess I do
What
have to
would you like
rebuild,
to
huh?
do
I was hoping I
next?
didn't have to do that. It did used to mean that. I agree. Yeah, there is an old programming language called that, but APL is Alexa. APL, Alexa, it's not programming language. Now I'm forgetting what APL stands. Presentation layer. Thank you. It's like, God, it's not programming language. Alexa presentation layer. Yeah, it's right here. Alexa presentation.apl. What are you talking about? Supported interfaces.alexa.presentation.apl. So there's something wrong with my detection function. So if we go to helper, if context system device supported interfaces. Context system device supported interfaces, Alexa presentation APL. I did
positives.
Alexa
Sunshine.
stop. So I think no, I think it's my detection. You don't have to build. It's coming through right here. I'm seeing the property right here, even though I have not built. The fact that this property is coming through means that the change has been made, I think. I don't know what a build would get me more than the fact that this is showing up. I'm trying to check this property. This is what I'm using to determine whether or not they can do APL. So I feel like maybe a build isn't necessary, even though Urban Blaster and Trade Last are telling me that I should. I'm trying to be argumentative because I see the value here. Right? I mean, if I didn't see the value, then I would say I agree with you, but it's there. So Alexa, let's just go. I just want this to work. Let's worry less about having nice, clean function right now. I can just use this, and I know this works. So we'll just take this and put it in there, and we can come back and use. Clark, don't get yourself banned here, my friend. I like your funny jokes. Let's see, we'll just take this, and then we'll drop this in here because I know this works. Yeah, pretty much that's exactly right, Galactoise. That's exactly right. So ask deploy. It's going to freak out on me now because I made a change. Maybe not. Let's see what Gold Zulu's got here. Supported interfaces equals Alexa dot get supported interfaces. Handler input request upload. APL interface. Yeah. The thing that I have here works. I'm confident in that because I wrote it several years ago. But I tend not to use the SDK calls. One is then I have to include another package in this file, which I don't want to do. But I have found, and this is just my own personal experience, and maybe they fixed it, that a lot of those functions aren't safe. They're not consistently checking to make sure that I'm not going to get an undefined someplace, which then blows up my skill when I ask it and it's not true. So I'm hoping that that's been improved, but I don't know for sure. So that's why I've tended to stay away from those. I do know that they exist, and I do use them, like in this file where I have to have Alexa included. You can see that here I'm using the Alexa get request type and get intent name, but I tend not to use the other ones, well, for two reasons. One, I've broken this stuff out, so I don't want to include the entire SDK here when I don't need it. But I don't know. I don't know if it helps or hurts me, but that was it. I was just detecting the wrong. My detection function wasn't returning true when it should return true. And now we're just waiting for that code to show up. Wow, Utah, thank you, man, for the funds. That's going to the STIR Scholarship. If you guys don't know, he just dropped 100 bits on the channel, and that basically equates to about $1. And that dollar then will be passed along, and we'll be donating that to the STIR Scholarship, which supports women and underrepresented minorities in getting into college programs that are around software development. So thank you for the cheer, man. Much appreciated. And we're still standing here waiting for some code. I think maybe that's the next thing I should do is really try that Servio and just try to get that in here. I just hate when things fail. But I certainly hate waiting. So I think whether I do it on stream or not today, when I come back tomorrow morning, my goodness, I'm streaming every day now. This is awesome. When I come back tomorrow morning, I'll have that figured out for sure. Yeah, and I already did all that, Goldzula. I already have the local debugger file. I've got it all here ready to go. The thing I didn't have was the ngrok working. Everything else, like the local debugger, it's all here and ready to go. I've just got to set up the Servio stuff instead. Let's go with this deployment. Urban Blaster, so you're writing your skills in C#. Do you use Alexa.net? That's a library that a friend of mine, Tim Hewer, created. I wonder if you're using that, or did you build your own parser for all the JSON and stuff? I'm always interested to know how people do that in a language that is not one of our cores. Okay. Man, I really hope this works this time. If I say, show me the APL image display sample this time, please work.
Jeff, you broke
okay,
something.
so, okay, we're closer.
What would you like to do
now
next?
It might just be something with my APL. That's kind of small, huh? Let's come back in here, and we're in the right log group. And we open up this log, and we see our error is could not find module image display sample.json. That's because I never did a good job of really writing a reference to that, but it should be that. Nope, it shouldn't even be that. Flockio, thank you for the follow. That's super cool. Thank you so much. Can we schedule a music skill sometime this summer? Yeah, we could probably do that. I would be down for building a music skill. Actually, one of the things that I really want to do is build a lot of the music skill functionality into this thing so that you can see how that stuff works. The whole point of the skill that I'm building here is to allow developers to experience the features that they would otherwise have to set up and build. But instead, there's a skill here that has, like, show me some APL, which is the display stuff that we have. So this isn't even correct. I am in here. I need this to be // Apl Template. Make sure I get that folder name right. Templates / but yeah, Ryan, that's my plan. That's what this skill is meant to do, is to let you try all those things like, oh, give me a notification, or send a card to my thing, or whatever. Music skills do have a totally different skill model, though. You're right. I would have to do that one separately. But there's a lot of things that I think would be, like, at least using the music player and doing some of those other things that I could at least demonstrate in this skill. But you're right. I can't just use the music skill model. So I think this path is right now. So .. / APL templates, and then whatever I resolve this thing out to be. This is so painful. All right, we're just gonna give this a try because I'm getting angry. So no installation, no sign up, just do this. Is it really this? Like, I just do this? Copy and paste this into my terminal. Okay. Why not? Let's do that. But then how do I get an address to this? I guess so. Are you sure you want to? So I permanently added. So then I just take this address here, the IP address, or it's this. It's this address. And we'll come over to my skill. I hate doing stuff like this on stream, but man, I gotta do it. So actually, I want to change it here. So if we go into this. Lambda, no, ask states, and no, I can't even do that. I can't even do it there. I gotta do it here. And in my build tab, come down to my endpoint. And I say HTTPS, and my URL is this. And we'll say that that's true because why not? Save endpoints. And the second one. This here too, you mean? Oh, I see. Second option. Got it. Okay. So let's save our endpoints. And let's do something real fancy to make sure that this works properly. So if we come in here and we hit index, and we want to hit the launch request, I just want to see this work. So we'll set a breakpoint here. Come on. So we'll set a breakpoint right there, and then I should be able to just come over here and do a test, right? I have to launch the debugger. I don't remember the command for that. Let's do that really quick. Alexa, local debugger. I want to make sure I get this right. Nope. Oh, there you go, W. Giorgio. I'm glad you figured it out. Did you say I can just hit play? To debug your node skill, you need to add a launch configuration to your skill project. From the menu, select Debug, Add Configuration. Okay. Let's go over here. Where did it say it was? From the menu, select Debug. Don't see Debug. Is there a place in this menu that I should see that? From the menu, select Debug, Add Configuration. I don't... Add configuration. It's run here. Okay. So that's great. And then I need specify the path to the local downloaded local adapter for Node.js file. So that's here. And this should just be that. And then what else do I need to fix? The Lambda handler. Why wouldn't you just hardcode this to be index.handler? Name of your main skill entry file. This is going to be /lambda. I think that's right? From here, /lambda / index.js, yeah. And if we come back to terminal, why are we failing? Do I want this to be, whoop, local host 3000? Well, this says 3000 here, so this is why I was thinking Goldzilla that this is what it would be. Oh, I see. Okay. So they want me to do that. No, it definitely doesn't like that. Okay. Yeah, I have the file. Let's try that. Local debugger file not found. And we're, I guess we're getting there. So inside my Lambda folder, I have index and local debugger sitting right next to each other. I see, okay. So this should be We're getting closer. Do you want just that then? I don't really know what you want from me. My local debugger is in the same directory as the index file. File not found index.js. What if I do this? I got you, Unspecified. I saw the issue. I just wasn't ready to deal with that one yet. So, find my file. Debugger attached. Shut up. But how did we hit this? Port number has to be an integer. Alright. Looks like an integer to me. I guess I don't need that. Just the 3000. Okay, then if I come over here and I say open Chewbacca cup.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Oh, I see. I hit a breakpoint first. I see. Okay, so let's try that again. Open Chewbacca cup.
There was a problem with the
Unexpected end of
requested
JSON
skills
input.
response.
This is why I don't like doing this stuff on stream. There's just a lot to learn and dig through. This has to be boring for you guys. Open Chewbacca cup.
There was a
Unexpected
problem with
end
the
of
requested
JSON
skills
input.
response.
Yeah, everybody's human. There's a lot of issues to be had. And I'm certainly doing something I've never done before, so I give myself a pass, whether or not you guys do. Thank you, Clark, for the support. Local debugger, line 55. Let's see what's going on there. What could I be doing wrong? I'm leaning on my my buddy Gold Zulu, who's the expert here. What is your handler setting in launch? Index.handler? Oh, I gotta hydrate. Sorry, Ryan. Thank you. Do I leave the dot? Just use handler? Okay. Let's get back at it. Debugger attached. Open my skill. Unexpected end of JSON input.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Same. I don't know what to do. So, unexpected end of JSON input. I mean, this doesn't feel like it's real. I really feel like this should be index.handler. That's what I specify in my Lambda when I set up a Lambda function. And I don't know. I don't know what else we can do here. I'm not getting to any of those console log statements. Unexpected end of JSON. Yeah. But if I change this back, if I go back to my skill and I go back to build and we change the endpoint back to the Lambda, which it would be super cool if it saved that for me. It shouldn't be. I mean, I'm not doing anything custom to the JSON. If we come back to this, is it still there? Oh, it's still there. That's so great. And if I flip back and forth, no, it loses that. Okay, that's fine. I'll bring that back. But let's save this and then try the skill, and it should be working fine. Well, maybe not. Okay. That's not anything I've had happen before. So, why did my skill all of a sudden bomb out? Did I not save the endpoint that I just changed? Now I want to get back to a working state and see. Oh, I have no endpoint specified. Can you save the endpoint this time? Maybe I didn't hit save last time? I don't know. Yeah, that could certainly be it. Please stop. Hopefully we didn't just break everything. This will certainly take us just a little bit, but this should get us to a place where the skill's working again. I can't figure out. I have really considered that, Galactoise, but I continue to not do it. Java's not going to be the place I land. C# might be, but I like JavaScript. It's fine. It's so great. It's easily debugged and easy to manage. Certainly no learning curve to just getting your environment set up. You know, all those things. So we'll just get this Lambda function back up and running. Hopefully the change that I made to the code fixes the issue that we were having. I'd really like to see that APL show up. My goodness, we've been streaming for 1:40 already. You guys make the time go fast. I really appreciate it. All right, Ryan, thanks for coming, man. Good to see you. Stay safe in Texas. Now we just got to figure out my local. I'm using ngrok for Lambda and Servio for Web API. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the ngrok. It's really annoying. Because I was well on my way to getting that all set up yesterday and just hit the wall with the ngrok stuff. I mean, literally, you run it and it deletes the executable. I don't even know why that would happen. And I've looked around. There's other people experiencing it, but nobody's written a solution or solved why it happens. The answer was, well, I just set it up in a Docker container and then everything was fine. That's just adding layers of problem to what I'm doing. I just want it to work. Okay. Yeah, it could be. I mean, again, I'm on an Amazon machine and I'm on our VPN. All of that could be an issue too. Boy, that doesn't make me feel good. Let's go look at that endpoint again, and then I'm going to build. Endpoint. Yeah, it's forgetting the endpoint. That's very odd. Save. I don't even get the option to build here. It's just save. So if I leave, like go to invocation, and come back to endpoint, it should remember that. So then if I go to test, and we do open. Oh my god, what have I done? Okay. Think. Why isn't it remembering my Lambda function? Because it's definitely not. Like if I come down here again, this is going to be forgotten. I did a full deploy. We just sat through this whole thing again. And it deployed it, but it didn't. Your current skill package folder does not change compared. Let's do this. Lambda, no, not Lambda. Ask states. Let's get rid of this revision ID. That should force an update, I think. Maybe it's just skipping it because the revision IDs are still the same? There is no longer a force option. No. They got rid of that. So this is going to take forever, but maybe we can get back to a working state, and then off cam, I can figure out how to get this actually working. Because I think we were close. But again, there's so many variables, right? I'm on a VPN right now. Maybe they're filtering the traffic from coming in. Oh, equals. That's no good. Well, they'll replace it. It doesn't matter. That's fine. Because it's not going to match the hash that they find on the server. So my thought on all of this is that we're close, but it could be VPN. It could be my machine. They have a bunch of administrative stuff that runs on this machine that may be blocking me from doing that as well. Who knows? I can understand why an IT security staff of a company like Amazon may not want me routing HTTP traffic directly to my local machine. I could see that why that might be a problem. But I wanna. So we'll just get this pushed back up. The VPN could certainly be the issue. I don't know why that would cut off JSON though. Like I was going to dig in and like write some code in that local debugger to see what the data I was actually receiving was, and if it's getting none or if there's some custom payload or something that comes through. I don't know. I just want it to work. Is that too much to ask? Really, I don't think I'm asking for too much to say, I have this code, it should work, so work. It never works that way. There's always something wrong. How did I install ngrok? I really just brought it down. I did unzip ngrok.zip. And then I ran the ngrok command that they gave me, and when I run that command, it gives me a message that says killed :9, and then nothing. And I can as soon as this is done, I can show you exactly what happens. It's really bizarre. I've never seen an executable be run and then destroy itself, but that's exactly what happens. So if we look in the ngrok files right here, so I'll run that in just a second. Oh, yeah, that's fine. I went to preferences and allowed it to run. Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, you're talking about coming into security and privacy, and letting it run was down here. This is where it popped up earlier, and I could check this and I could see that yes, I want that to be able to run. Come on, code. So many minutes lost. Yeah, that's where I put mine originally. I also tried installing it with Brew. I tried like 4 different things. But even if I put it in the bin, the unzipped version, the first time I call it to run it, it gets deleted. All right, let's try running our skill, and please work this time.
Welcome.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
What would you like to
So
do
we're
next?
at least back. I'm going to add that to a thing, and then show me the APL image. What was that thing called? Image display sample.
I'm sorry, your device does not support APL. What would you
turned
like to
off
do next?
the endpoint because you have to do it in your skill.json, which I never remember the syntax for. And don't have any way to find that because why would we do that? So at least we got back up and running. That's a good sign. I can show you how this works. If we do unzip, no, I gotta be in the Lambda folder, or do I? Is it in the Lambda folder? Yeah. So cd lambda, and then we do unzip ngrok.zip, and then we can see that we have ngrok sitting there. That's all working great. And then I can say whatever the ngrok statement is. I don't remember what that is now. I don't even have those tabs open yet. Ngrok. And in here, get started. I have to do this. I have to do the auth token thing, which of course I'm showing on screen. Why wouldn't I do that? And I do this, and killed 9. Now if I come to the preferences, I don't have anything here to tell me that there's something going on or that it is the one that's killed it, but it is dying a horrible death. And then you can see if I do an ls again, that ngrok, the file, gone. No, if I put it in the bin, it'll just delete it from the bin. I did the same thing yesterday. So I don't know. Unzip ngrok.zip cp. Here, I'll do it, but I don't think that's going to solve the problem. And then usr local bin. And then I can do the ngrok statement. And then if we go cd user local bin, you can see that ngrok is not in here. Oh, it is in here. So why didn't it work? Oh, because I didn't run it? cd alexa dev tips cd lambda, and we should be able to get that ngrok statement wherever that went. So now that I've run this, if we go to cd user local bin, you can see that ngrok is not, it's still here. Well, I guess that's a good sign. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so not what I'm worried about for right now, although I do appreciate all the help, everybody. What I want to do is take that thing that you dropped in chat earlier, this. Thank you, W. Giorgio. And is there a place for interfaces? I don't remember where that even gets dropped. Is it like here? I don't remember. W. Giorgio, can you remind me? Does it go? Is it stand on its own in the root, or does it go someplace else? I guess I could look it up, but if I have your help, that's always awesome. All right. While I wait for W. Giorgio's response, we'll try that. ngrok http 3001. Nope. All right, let's just look this up. Gotta dig in here. I really wanted this APL to show up, and then it's easy to just bring in the other templates and go. Context system device supported interfaces. No, that's not. That's the thing I want to check. Are you really not going to tell me to go do it? To enable it? Get started. Let's start at the beginning. Configure a skill. Manifest APIs custom interfaces. That's the thing I'm looking for. APIs custom. So this goes. APIs custom. This must go at the same level as endpoint. Like so. Okay, now we'll deploy. One more time. We'll, oh. My back just decided it was not happy. Ouch. Oh. Okay, so we're gonna deploy that. Apparently the whole thing again. Who did I anger today? Thanks, Clark. See, man. Thank you for being here, tuning in. I'd love to know who the 45 people are that are all here. It's awesome that you guys are tuned in and watching and whatever, but come join us in the chat. Jump over to this channel, drop a follow. All of that would be great. Yeah, I feel like this could be a documentary on Netflix. Elite hackers. This is what it looks like. This is why it always kills me when you see like hackers in movies and stuff, and they're always like, da, 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 da. I'm in, right? Like, come on. No, you're not. You had 7 hours of setup to make it so that you could type that one command when you got to the location. Flakio, thank you for being here, man. Good. I haven't seen your name before, I don't think, but I'm glad you're here. I tried the sudo also. That didn't seem to solve anything for me either. I don't know. Again, there's a bunch of people that are having this issue, and no solutions have been written for it. So I feel like maybe it's a work computer thing. I don't know. Maybe Gold Zulu, maybe you and I should just join up for a pairing session. Figure this thing out. See, that says early 2015. God, this machine's old. And that's the other thing is I have a brand new MacBook Pro over there. I'm using High Sierra. I have a brand new MacBook Pro sitting over there that is amazing. It's beefy. It's got specs out the gills, and it's not set up to connect to our VPN, which means I can't use it as my daily driver. And if I can't use it as my daily driver, then I'm just not using it. So it's just sitting over there collecting dust. But it has all the corporate software on it, so it would be the same issue there. Okay, we're good. Let's see. Sorry, device does not support APL. Open. Oh, that's definitely not going to work.
I picked a random topic for
Let's
you.
do a quit first.
Entity resolution. This is Alexa Dev Tips.
And then I want to say,
what would you like to do next?
Show me the A.P.L image. I can't ever remember what it's called. I just want to get it right, that's all. Image display sample. Display sample. Please work.
The image display sample template is displayed on your screen.
I have defeated you.
What
There
like
we
to do
go.
next?
There's my dog. What's up, dog? Let's add that to a thing. So we're good. So now we have, you can say, show me the image display sample, or show me the APL image display, and boom, I have APL. And that should work here too, right? Alexa, open Chewbacca Cup. For those of you that don't know,
Welcome to Alexa Dev Tips. What would you like to do next?
show me the APL image display.
The image display sample template is displayed on your screen.
There's my dog.
What would you like to do next?
It's not my dog. But Alexa, quit. So I'm working on this skill, and I have a skill called Dev Tips already, which is why I'm not using the name Dev Tips right now, but this will replace that one eventually. So I needed to just come up with a name that was random and it wouldn't have any conflicts or anything. And this is why the skill is called Chewbacca Cup, because I have a Chewbacca Cup. So that is this is from Disney Parks. We actually went to a very cool thing at Disney a few years ago. They had a Star Wars fireworks show that was absolutely amazing, and they had this big dessert party and whatever, and we took our kids. Probably 4 years ago, but that was sitting here on my desk, and I said, "Yep, yeah, you know what? My test name for this skill is going to be Chewbacca Cup." So that's why I keep saying that. Okay, so we're right at time, 4 o'clock. I've got some other things I got to wrap up, but we did it. We made the APL work. Now it's just a matter of adding the other templates in, the other 5 or 6 that we have. Plus, I'm going to do a full screen image and a full screen video, just so you can see what those are like. Chewbacca. Woo, Galactoise. That's a lot. That's a mouthful. Yeah, that would have worked. Okay, so I'm gonna put a bow on this today. Galactoise, I'm glad you could join me today, man. I know that I haven't seen you on stream in a little while, but I always go pretty early for you. So I'm glad that you could be here, and I'm glad that this is all working. And Gold Zulu has 20,000 points on this channel. At some point, I'm gonna have to let you cash it in for like swag or something. But we'll figure all that stuff out. So with that, we're we're going to wrap this up. Thank you guys all for joining me, all 48 of you that are still here. This has been an incredible stream of people, and I'm glad that you guys were all here to follow me in my adventures of nonsense. So I will be back on again tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, which is 7 a.m. Pacific, and we'll continue right where we left off. Hopefully I'll have some local debugging figured out, but probably not. I'm probably not going to find time for that between now and tomorrow morning, but maybe. And we'll keep rolling. So we'll add in those other APL templates and keep it going. Thank you guys all. I'll see you very soon.